Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 in our Chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We turn now in the Johnson edition to poem 473, I Am Ashamed, I Hide. And this is a compelling poem. This, of course, Ashamed takes us back to poem 444. In some ways, we're back to 461 as well. A wife at daybreak I shall be. Sunrise hast thou a flag for me. At midnight I am but a maid. How short it takes to make a bride. Then midnight I passed from thee unto the east in victory. Midnight, good night. I hear them call. The angels bustle in the hall. Softly my future climbs the stair. I fumble at my childhood's prayer. So soon to be a child no more. Eternity I'm coming, sir. Savior, I've seen the face before. And you'll remember in our study of that poem that we were asking specifically, what does it mean when Emily talks about being a bride, given that she never was a bride? We are, in many ways as well, witnessing here what one scholar has called, quote, an outburst of exhilaration, end quote. Some have seen this as another riddle poem. Why? Because we're not really sure what it is she's so excited about. Some have seen this as a master poem, even a love poem. Our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've worked through our set of introductory comments, as well as working through the preceding 472 poems. We just finished with 472, Except the Heaven. Now here, in many ways, Emily captures that childlike quality of excitement, and I love that about this poem. I also am interested in what causes this outburst for us to study. Is it maybe possibly literally marriage with master, or as the great scholar Ruth Miller has pointed out, she thinks this is about excitement over the possibility of her poems being published in the Springfield Republican, although Johnson will have some debate as to whether he sees that as a legitimate interpretation or not. Hear the excitement in her voice and the use of dashes to almost give us this breathless quality. I am ashamed, I hide. What right have I to be a bride? So late a dowerless girl, nowhere to hide my dazzled face, no one to teach me that new grace, nor introduce my soul. Me to adorn, how tell? Trinket to make me beautiful, fabrics of cashmere, never a gown of dun more, raiment instead of pompadour. For me, my soul to wear, fingers to frame my round hair, oval as feudal ladies wore, fair fashions fair, far fashions fair, skill to hold my brow like an earl, plead like a whippoorwill, prove like a pearl. Then for character, fashion my spirit quaint, white, quick like a liquor, gay like light, bring me my best pride, no more ashamed, no more to hide, meek let it be, too proud for pride. Baptized this day a bride. Now the only thing many have argued that's missing here is the exclamation point after the word bride. And it is interesting, the poems where there is no exclamation point, and it seems like this one would warrant it for sure, given the excitement of what it is she's speaking of. Again, with Ashamed, we're back to poem 444. She mentions at the beginning that she's ashamed, and then by the end of the poem she's no longer ashamed, coming maybe to an acceptance, we might say. Notice we begin with hiding as well, which of course readers of Emily's day would have gone back to the Genesis 3 account. Adam and Eve, of course, hiding after they recognize their nakedness. What right have I to be a bride, so late a dowerless girl? Notice the question mark that's absent in this opening lines. And again, back to bride. She uses this word bride in 13 different poems. You'll remember it again from 461. When we get to 1620, she'll play the game this way. Circumference thou bride of awe, possessing thou shalt be, possessed by every hallowed knight that dares to covet thee. Her use of the word bride is fascinating, especially because this whole notion of wearing white, which we're going to get to here in a bit. So late she'll call herself a dowerless girl. Now many, like Miller, have argued, yeah, she's written all this stuff, but she hasn't published any of it. And the possibility of the publishing in the Springfield Republican would then make her no longer a dowerless girl. In other words, having nothing to offer. And then notice all the ends here. Nowhere to hide my dazzled face. Dazzled will take us back to 243. Nowhere to teach me. You'll remember that line from 177. That new grace, nor introduce my soul. Of course, she'll have the soul in the second stanza to end as well. and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, okay, so we're not talking maybe about her physically being a bride, but rather the accoutrements that would go with setting one's soul up, right? Or expectation of one's soul or spirit. Me to adorn, how, tell. And again, this is why we call these conversations chats with Emily. It's as if she's having a conversation with you, the reader. Like, tell me how this works out. Tell me how I'm supposed to do this. Me to adorn, how, tell. And then she'll come up with ideas about dress. Trinket to make me beautiful. It's interesting, the debate of whether Emily herself was considered attractive or not. Fabrics of cashmere, never a gown of dun. We're going to get to the gown of white here in a bit. More raiment instead of pompadour for me, my soul to wear. In other words, getting ready, getting dolled up for the experience of being a bride. Fingers to frame my round hair. We know her auburn hair is mentioned a number of times in her poems. Oval as feudal ladies wore. In other words, dressed up to the nines. Fair fashions, far fashions, fair. Skill, and I think that's an interesting word if you are going to follow Miller here to talk about publishing. To hold my brow like an earl. You can hear all these F sounds, all these P sounds. Plead like a whippoorwill, prove like a pearl. Then for character, fashion, interesting from raiment to fashion. My spirit, not now soul but spirit, quaint, and then white. Now I think the word quaint is a key word here for a number of reasons. It's as if she doesn't necessarily want all of that glorified raiment. Quaint for her will be better. But then she uses the word white here, which takes us, of course, back to the poems 271 and 325 and 388, where she talks about wearing white. And of course, Emily, as she went into her recluse mode, as someone called it, began to wear only white. And then she'll use the word quick. And then it's like a liquor, and it takes us to poem 214, I taste the liquor never brewed. Gay like light, bring me my best pride. We'll get to pride, too proud for pride in a second. Bring me my best pride. And then all of a sudden it's no more ashamed. Notice the shift here. No more to hide. Back to the first line. Meek, let it be. So we go from quaint to meek. Too proud for pride. And then she'll use the word baptized, which is amazing because this is the only time in her poetry she uses the word baptized in this way. Emily, who never had a conversion experience, and yet here, baptized dash, this day dash, a bride. Notice A here is capitalized along with the word bride as well. When we get to poem 511, we'll play around with this set of lines with 511. If you were coming in the fall, I'd brush the summer by with half a smile and half a spurn as housewives do a fly. If I could see you in a year, I'd wind the months in balls and put them each in separate drawers for fear the numbers fuse. If only centuries delayed, I'd count them on my hand, subtracting till my fingers dropped into Van Diemen's land. If certain when this life was out that yours and mine should be, I'd toss it yonder like a rind and take eternity. But now, uncertain of the length of this that is between, it goads me like the goblin bee that will not state its sting. Is she speaking specifically about being a bride as in a relationship, or is she speaking about publishing? Again, guys, I'm going to leave it to you to decide. We can make a 2A observation that it is true that sometimes it's hard to contain one's excitement for something that one hopes for. At 2B, well, the syntax is the syntax of excitement. No question about it. Emily is brilliant at this. Many have said, Emily's poetry is such a downer, she's such a gothic, she's always talking about how depressing it is. This is a poem that obviously belies and debates all of those views. At 3A, well, I think poem 511 is a fun poem to set alongside this one as a study of the possibility of the expectation of love, if that's how you read this. Finally, at 3B, what was a time when you felt this level of excitement and you were ready for whatever was coming next? I hope that's your anticipation of the next Emily poem. Thank you.